Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has begun his second innings after the BJP and its NDA allies galloped to victory with a massive mandate cornering 353 of the 543 seats in the Lok Sabha. The story has been that the Congress and other opposition have been virtually decimated. If the Congress is nearly wiped out from erstwhile bastions like the Northeast, the so-called Mahagathbandhan got rejected in heartland states like Uttar Pradesh. What seemed like a formidable challenger to the BJP, Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool in West Bengal, was tamed. As Prime Minister Modi is now starting by making inclusivity his primary promise, reaching out to the country's Muslim population and other minorities, is there nothing left really for the Congress and the rest of the opposition to try and beat the BJP with? And now that BJP under Modi has gone to the extent of acknowledging that his government is committed to the welfare of all those who had backed them and all those who did not, what tools could the opposition probably find to corner the BJP? Is this the end of religion as a political card in this country? Before we begin the discussion, let us listen in to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said to the newly elected NDA MPs after the massive verdict on the 23rd of May.
जैसा देश के गरीबों के साथ हुआ है, वैसा ही छल इस देश की माइनॉरिटी के साथ हुआ है। दुर्भाग्य से देश की माइनॉरिटी को उस छल में, उस छलावे में ऐसा भ्रमित रखा गया है, उसको भयभीत रखा गया है। अच्छा होता उसकी शिक्षा की चिंता होती, अच्छा होता उसमें से सामाजिक सार्वजनिक जीवन के भिन्न भिन्न स्तर के लीडर पैदा होते, अच्छा होता समाज के अन्य वर्गों की बराबरी में उनका भी आर्थिक सामाजिक विकास होता। लेकिन वोट बैंक की राजनीति में एक छलावा, एक काल्पनिक भय, एक काल्पनिक वातावरण और डर का माहौल पैदा कर करके उनको दूर भी रखा, दबा करके भी रखा और सिर्फ चुनाव में उपयोग करने का खेल चला। 2019 में आज मैं एक जिम्मेवारी के साथ आपसे अपेक्षा करने आया हूं। अब जब संविधान को के सामने सर झुका करके आपके सामने खड़ा हुआ हूं, तब मैं आपसे आग्रह करूंगा कि हमें इस छल को भी छेद करना है। हमें विश्वास जीतना है और इस छल को छेद करना है जी। ये उनको हम हैंडओवर करके बैठे रहेंगे, मुझे मंजूर नहीं। अब हम चुप रहते हैं, इसी का फायदा उठा रहे हैं और इसलिए इस जिम्मेवारी को भी हम निभाएंगे। तभी तो देश हम पूरी तरह सबको साथ लेकर के चल सकते हैं और सबका साथ सबका विकास और अब सबका विश्वास, ये हमारा मंत्र है।
All right, there we have heard the Prime Minister very, very clearly saying that he will not let the minorities be neglected anymore, that he is going to care for their welfare. That is the gist. Well, to discuss the issue, I am joined from Shillong by Ms. Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times. In Aizawl, I have Professor J. Dongal from Mizoram University. In Imphal, I have Professor Amar Yumnam from Manipur University, and at our studios in Guwahati, I am joined by former MP Kirip Chaliha, Assam BJP spokesperson Janki Goswami, political commentator Abhinav Barbara, and Professor Rajiv Handik from Guwahati University. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. I'd like to go straight to you, Professor Dongal in Aizawl. Professor Dongal, the same question goes to you. Do you think that the parties like the Congress, after that Prime Minister's outreach to the minorities, particularly the Muslims and other minorities, do you think they have lost a very big issue, because earlier they used to accuse the BJP, you accuse it of dividing this country, you accuse it of playing communal politics, and large part of your problem is solved. So now do you think this issue is no longer going to be there slowly if the promise is implemented?
Yeah, Wasbir, it is the nature of political parties. They are fighting for issues, they are creating issues, and they are going after issues. And with regard to the speech delivered by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the newly elected NDA parliamentary party, I feel that if that speech can be translated into action, that is welcome. But what I doubt is that if it ends up as only a show of oratory skill, it may not serve the purpose, because NDA has many slogans in the previous term also. We know about the changing of look east into act east, but changing look east into act east has not caused any change in the border. Being in the border area, we know what is happening in the border area. That's why if the minority can be appeased, if the minority can be pleased, and if the minority can be reached and they are included in the system, this is a welcome step.
Absolutely.
And at the top of
Hold
that,
your thoughts.
what
Hold
I would
your
like
thoughts.
to point out here is that,
Right.
see, like the Muslim, with regard to the Muslim is a minority, but they are a large minority. So we may say that Muslims constitute only around 10% of India's population, but they cannot be just neglected and marginalized, because India has.
All right, Professor
the
Dongal, I'll
second
come back to you.
largest
Let me
Muslim
take
population
the
after
opening remarks.
Indonesia.
Yes, Professor Dongal, you have made some very, very important points, but I will follow it up with you. I'm going to Professor Amar Yumnam. Professor Amar, you know, the people of this country had given the BJP a massive mandate. Do you think that the BJP has now realized that they have definitely got votes of the minorities as well? This is a massive victory for the BJP, and they have acknowledged now that there has been a shift of large number of Muslim votes as well, and this is a good beginning according to the party. My question is, Professor Amar, that speech of the Prime Minister trying to reach out to the minorities in this country, saying that all along Congress and other parties were trying to instill fear into the minorities, saying that BJP is a communal party, this is not going to work anymore. This is not going to work anymore. Therefore, do you think that the Congress and other opposition parties will find it more difficult to defeat the BJP in future?
Well, when it comes to that, the Prime Minister has been trying to give a message to his own party MPs as well. Among the elected MPs, we have those who had well-met statements in favor of appreciating Nathuram Godse rather than the father of the nation. So Prime Minister himself has been trying to give a message to his own party people, don't indulge in that kind of a thing anymore. That is a course correction which the Prime Minister thought is necessary to do at this moment. Well, when it comes to the opposition, what they have got to do is that they must see what happens in the next 5 years. So they should rather be looking at the delivery on the statements made by the Prime Minister, well, Bikas and the Bishwas.
Right.
And how far the Prime Minister has been able to deliver on the Bikas front, and how that Bikas front performance has been converted into benefits for the minority. That is where opposition should be looking at.
Right. Yes, Ms. Patricia Mukim, I am coming to you now. The audio was little unclear. Now you are making the point, the same question. Your thoughts, Kongpat, on this issue?
See, I have just told you that it is good to see a more mature Narendra Modi coming up, and that he is talking of inclusiveness. He's talking of getting the Vishwas, the trust of the minorities, and as a minority from this region, it's good to hear this, because you know, we have been living in fear, we have been voting out of fear, we haven't been voting for somebody but against somebody, And I think that's not a very good thing to happen. And you know, I was thinking to myself and speaking to others also, why should we be talking of religion at all?
Yes.
We are all Indians and we should feel ourselves Indians, and we should be only looking at development and nothing else. Nothing else should become an issue. Why
Very-
should religion become an issue? And
Right.
that too such a divisive, such a bitter issue, no?
Absolutely, absolutely. Patricia Mukim, hold on. I'm coming back to you in a moment. Kirip Chalia, you know, for long Indian politics, you have been an MP, you have been a vocal MP at that. My question is, we have seen in this country politics is, religion and politics have been intermingling for a long, long time. Do you think this is, do you somewhere see that so long the BJP was facing the brunt of attack by all its rivals, saying, oh, you are a divisive party, you are a communal party, you are an anti-Muslim party, and so on and so forth. But now with Prime Minister saying that, you know, it was the opposition which has so long kept the Muslims or the other minorities outside of the purview of the BJP, instilling fear into them, and he is extending his hands to them and hoping to win their trust, Viswas, along with development, which is his party's key slogan. Now, with this, do you think it's a complete change in approach, as Kong Patricia said that, you know, this is a more mature Narendra Modi? And do you think a mandate which he has given could have come without the support of the minorities? Okay, we know that Muslims comprise only 14 to 15% of India's population. Either minorities or even less, but it's a 150 million strong population. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, my immediate reaction is one should be enthusiastic, but one shouldn't be over enthusiastic. One has to be extremely optimistic, but there should be an element of caution with it. Because you know, there's a saying called tigers don't change spots or something like that. What I'm saying is, you know, a speech in the Central Hall of Parliament after somebody becomes the designated Prime Minister with a huge mandate, a verdict which was earlier questioned, but after a victory it was not questioned. Allow me to finish. One more second. I mean, a speech in Central Hall cannot be as diabolic as something which excites the people in the public platform or incites people into the public platform. Now, I seek forgiveness for the words that I've used. But I think there is an element of negativity.
No. My point is, why are you being so skeptic? Why can't you take the Prime Minister's statement in the Central Hall before 353 people elected by the people of this country in face value?
If one sentence could change the past, even gods can't change the past, Wasbir. So, you know, you welcome it.
You welcome it, but do you think it's a statement given in a moment of euphoria?
No. I'll say the Prime Minister may be seriously attempting to, you know, rectify his mistakes. But is it possible?
I will come to Janki. I'll come to Janki for her thoughts. I'll have to stop you there. I'll have to come to Janki for her thoughts. But before that, Rajiv Endik, how do you look at this statement by the Prime Minister, outreach to the minorities of this country? Do you think somewhere or the other, the Prime Minister is trying to remove politics, the bogey of politics from, bogey of religion from politics, particularly during elections?
I think this election was actually one of the most bitter in the history of India, and it was a polarized campaign, we must admit that. And it's good that, you know, immediately after victory, this very inclusive type of statements came out from the Honorable Prime Minister. We have to remember that these statements were not heard too often during the first, 5 years of his first Prime Ministership. When a lot of things were happening, a lot of lynchings were happening, we did not hear too much of that. But then, as many of our panelists have said, it may be a course correction, or it may, hint at a new future that is emerging.
But would you say that this is too early to even think that religion will be out of politics in this country? I'm not talking about it.
No,
every political party uses religion. It's not just the BJP. By the way.
But, it's very difficult to in India especially.
Difficult.
It's very difficult.
Difficult, but not
And-
impossible.
yeah,
Perhaps,
yeah.
Avinab, how do you look at this, initiative, the new narrative by Prime Minister Narendra Modi? I mean, it's definitely a very, very clear-cut statement addressing the minorities in this country.
The Prime Minister assuring his intent to reach out to the minorities is, I think, itself symbolic of the exclusion and the fear that minorities have faced in the last 5 years. Because we live in a country where
No, it's not just last 5 years.
no, no,
by the way.
I'm saying, let me complete my point. We live in a country where the constitution itself assures equal rights and claims of citizenship to all people from diverse religious backgrounds. So in that case, both these parties taking the credit of protecting a particular religious minority and instilling a sense of patron-client relationship is itself problematic. And I think for this, both the Congress as well as the BJP are to be blamed. Now, if we look at the politics and the speech, the politics of the speech, I think it is too early to pass any sense of optimism or to strike down his speech. Only time
Okay.
will tell whether this
Time
speech
will tell.
remains
Too
as
early,
a rhetoric
too
or
ear-
he translates
too early
his
to
words
accept it
into
at face
action.
value or to strike it down. Janki, how do you look at it? Because do you think it is a definite attempt by your party and your leader, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to do you think there is absolute sincerity involved in what is said on the Central Hall of Parliament?
So there is absolute sincerity in whatever he said in the Central Hall of the Parliament. What I would like to say is that, first of all, adding a communal color to politics is a forte of the Congress. They have always done vote bank politics. They have exploited a certain section of the people for vote bank. And at the same time, as Narendra Modi very specifically and categorically stated, that they have all along neglected the development aspect of this minority. But we believe in the politics of inclusion, we believe in the
You
policy
believe-
of inclusion,
Yeah.
and we believe in all pervasive and all inclusive development.
Okay. You
When we
believe
talk
in the
about
policy
Sabka
of
Saath, Sabka Vikas, we don't
you believe in the policy. That is what
yes,
he's saying.
absolutely. We don't believe in developing a certain
For
community
some strange
and
reason,
excluding one.
the Congress party has debarred its spokesman from attending debate shows like this. Therefore, the Congress leader was supposed to actually come and join this debate, did not come. So this is absolutely strange, but anyway, it's their problem. Now, Patricia Mukim, in the northeastern context, you know, the BJP never talks about religion. There was no Hindutva, no talk of temple, never. The focus was always has been on development, and that has paid rich dividends to the BJP because they said that we have our regional allies. Our only interest as far as this neglected frontier is development, connectivity. The Prime Minister talks about infoway, airways, waterways, roadways. Now my question is, now with this very clear-cut statement coming in, the outreach to the minorities, we have got large Christian minority also in the northeast. Do you think it will be much more easier for the BJP and its allies to have a good relationship without bothering about anything else in the coming days?
See, Wasbir, it is not a very good thing for any group to feel alienated from any political party in the country. But this has been, set a pace because of the fear that has been brought in of the politics of Hindutva. Now, if Mr. Modi reverses that stance and he shows by his action and example that he is not going to use the religious card, then I think we would welcome this as a political party without any fear, without any favor.
Exactly.
And I must say one thing though, as civil societies of the region, we have never engaged on a one-on-one with Mr. Modi to say that we do not like the politics of Hindutva. We have never done that. I recall in the past, we had a BJP minister in Mr. T.H. Rangat. There were only two BJP MLAs in Meghalaya. One was A.L. Hek and the other was Mr. T.H. Rangat. And Mr. T.H. Rangat engaged effectively with the likes of Mr. Mr. L.K. Advani, Mr. Vajpayee to express the fears of of the minorities in this region to say that you should not be pushing this sort of religious
Right.
agenda.
Right.
And I think it was taken very well. But now we don't have such voices. We need those voices from the minorities also to stand out in, you know, in the politics of the center.
Now we have Kiren Rijiju to assist Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who is the Minority Affairs Minister, who is deputy. Will be Mr. His deputy is Kiren Rijiju, an MP from the Northeast. Let's hope things improve in the days ahead. I'm coming to you, Professor Dongal, but Professor Amar Yumnam, you also have a BJP-led government in Manipur. Manipur also has a large hill tribal population who are largely Christians. Now with this kind of a message coming in, do you think it will be much easier for a leader, for a government led by the BJP in Manipur, for example, to take things forward? After all, the topmost priority of the Modi government is development. He has made it very clear. Inclusivity, development, vikas and trust. That is the new element, that is Viswas, or faith or trust, to earn the trust of everybody in this country. Amar, do you think now things have become much more clearer? Yes, as my panelists in the studio have been saying that it's too early, but why not? Let us be optimistic.
Well, let the performance speak for themselves. We still have time to look for it. The last 5 years also, he gave in 2014 the promise of Vikas, but that's not something which has happened. But now that is inclusive, but for the Northeast and particularly for us, what we should be rather looking at, that dropping religion as an agenda, if CAP is not, Citizenship Amendment Bill is not introduced again. That was absolutely religious oriented kind of a bill, because identifying citizenship on the basis of religion, if that doesn't get introduced again in Parliament, then we said that, well, he's keeping his words and he's living up to the promise he made. So when it comes to the Northeast, when it comes to Manipur, we are still looking forward to the Ek East policy.
Very
policy is still not
very
what he
point
promised
which
in
Professor Amar
2014.
Yumnam is linking up. CAB, he said that will be one of the benchmarks to start with, to gauge whether the Prime Minister means what he's talking. What do you think?
But I think that there is a paradox in whatever he said, because on one hand today we are talking about fair treatment to Muslim minorities, and if you look at the purpose of CAB, it is also a legislative device which is designed to rehabilitate and provide citizenship to persecuted minorities belonging to another country. So I think we are talking about persecution, and we are adopting a double stand out here, whereby we are willing to accommodate minorities of one particular group, but at the same time we do not have a similar stand regarding persecuted Hindu minorities who are also facing persecution across the border. So I think persecution has to be the criteria, but we cannot make a division or a discrimination in terms of the religious identity of the persecuted community.
All right. Professor Dongal, before I come to the studio, Professor Dongal, how are you looking at this? Is it too early? But do you think, my main question, what I want to ask is that, my hypothesis is very simple. Yes, we all know, you and I know that, it's a good beginning. It's a very good words by the Prime Minister, which needs to be welcomed. Inclusivity is what this country needs. This is the ethos of this country, which the Prime Minister has given reflection in his words to the newly elected MPs. Now, that is all right. We also know that we have to wait and watch. But don't you think that this has the potential to stop this politics of division on the basis of religion? Because if the religion is removed, if every community is accepted as part of the the whole system, be it in the issue of getting jobs, be it in employment, be it in improving the economic status of the minorities who are sort of deprived, and so on and so forth, then this politics of religion does not have to be there at all. It's a good beginning, isn't it, Professor Dongal? How do you look at it?
It is too early to comment on that. And at the top of that, if inclusivity is the purpose, why not CAP itself be inclusive? And what I would like to point out here is that if the NDA government appears to be inclusive and inclusivity is its agenda, let the NDA government corrected some of the exclusive steps taken in the previous term. Like, so talking about this inclusiveness, see, for Christian minority people, the auspicious day of the Christian people, Christmas Day, has been declared as Good Governance Day. Then Good Friday as Digital India Day. Is there inclusiveness in it? That's why.
But Janki, these are points. Do you expect the new government to really rethink on this? Yes, you have made your point, Professor Dongal. Let me take a response. Janki, do you think from the Northeast, the BJP leadership now in the Northeast needs to reflect on this and maybe advise the government, maybe this was deliberate or maybe this was not deliberate, maybe this was oversight? I mean, it's not a very big thing that cannot be corrected, isn't it? I mean, it can definitely be corrected.
No, you cannot call these deliberate things. These have been going on and that's why it is continuing. It is just a continuance. You cannot call them deliberate, but definitely when we are talking about the welfare of minorities.
No, do you think the state BJP, I mean, the region, BJP leaders from the region, do you think they should reflect on this and maybe advise the central government?
Yes, definitely. That would be also an inclusive step for going forward and taking everybody and every community with us, and it will be a a reformative step, and it will be one step ahead in terms of vikas again.
Absolutely.
So we will definitely consider it.
Definitely. So this is again a positive statement coming from a BJP spokesperson. Kirip Chalia. Yes, Patricia. Yes, carry on. Patricia Mukim. Yes.
Yeah. No, I want to say one thing. See, like Mr. Dongal said, I think we have to reverse that 25th December, Good Governance Day and all that. That will take away a lot of the paranoia that has been set in after 2014. And then we also have to see what Mr. Modi has to say after this if there is a lynching case, whether he will stand up against those linchpins or whether he will continue to remain silent.
Very critical point.
Sort of example I take about Jayant Sinha being left out. Some people have said it might be because he garlanded those linchpins, maybe that is one point, we don't know, we're not sure if he's going to be inducted later on, but he was one of the performing ministers who didn't get back into the Prime Minister.
If our Prime Minister has left out Jayant Sinha for garlanding some linchpins as reported in the media, I think it's a very good step. But Kirip Chalia, let's go to the core of the issue. I'll have to go for a very quick break, very briefly. Now, the points which Professor Dongal and Ms. Patricia Mukim has made, that course correction, that's what one. So there's a lot of course correction. Do you think these are not very difficult things for the government to remove, Christmas Day as Good Governance Day? We can just put some other day as Good Governance Day. So do you think Prime Minister now has a lot of challenges to correct some of these little pinpricks?
Not only Christmas Day, Digital India Day on Good Friday.
Christmas Day and Digital India Day, that's what Professor Dongal. These are pinpricks. This can be resolved if you have the will.
See, I'm not talking about
that also on Good Friday.
Yes,
carry on. I'm not going to get into the debate of naming particular days. I'll come to something more fundamental. And this I had said in Parliament, so I have no hesitation in repeating. It's on record. You see, the mainland India, so-called mainland India, that's the Hindi heartland, they have a very perverted perception about India as a whole, about the creation of India. I feel, and I've said it on record. I said we are more Indians. The Northeast people are more Indians than the Indians. We have done more sacrifice. I feel so ashamed when Patricia, I feel shame on myself. When Patricia or somebody says that, look, we are living in fear. For what? She is the daughter of this land. We are all sons of this land. This land belongs to us. This country belongs to us. We have made sacrifices for that. Every region of our places have made sacrifices for the country's independence. But there are idiots who, I'm saying idiots, who think that they are great. They can term us as second-class Indians because somebody happens to be a Christian, somebody happens to be even a Muslim for that matter. Though I don't deny that this country was born out of a division, religious division.
Right.
I don't deny. But what I'm saying is, This cannot
Well,
be
all right.
tolerated. And that is
Okay.
what I am saying. That is what I am saying. That
I'll
simple
go for it.
statement. No, you need more than that. You have to change the psyche. This
You have to
wrong psyche.
change the psyche.
And the
Rajiv
ignorance, and the
Rajiv 10
ignorance.
seconds, I'll have to go for a quick break. Rajiv Vendik.
Yeah, it's true that, between the rhetoric and the reality, we have to be, optimistic and see what's coming ahead.
Absolutely.
And I really hope, and it's very interesting, as Patricia has, pointed out, that
Between-
Zain Sinha is, left out.
Okay,
Let's
we
hope
don't know
for the
why
best.
he's left out
Yeah,
because
we
not
don't know.
everybody can be taken. New faces must
It's
also
true.
come in. But if he has been left out for a certain action which is not acceptable, I think the Prime Minister has done the right thing. We'll go for a short break. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Amar Yumnam, you see 353 members. This is an unprecedented victory. BJP on its own has got 303 members. Now take the case of the Northeast. We have 25 seats. BJP and its allies have got 18. With BJP alone got 14 seats out of this 25. 18 is the total tally in the Northeast. Now, what does it mean? To look at it simply, it has got the people's mandate. People across the board has largely favored the BJP and its allies. Let's focus on the northeastern region, Amar. Now, do you think it will be much more difficult now for a party like the Congress, to come back, at least in a region like the northeastern region, because the BJP has taken into its fold most of the relevant regional parties. Any big regional party in the Northeast is an ally of the NDA. So how are you looking at this development?
See, now the onus on the BJP is much more than it was ever. They must realize that, because the weakness of the Congress has been that it has developed inertia over the years. And the regional parties have failed to prove themselves, and they have been sucked in. Now the BJP has to prove to the people of the region that is really committed to the cause of the northeastern region. Yeah, take the case of Manipur University, for example. Well, Manipur University was absolutely shut down by the teachers, students, and the non-teaching staff for 6 months, and the Prime Minister didn't feel it necessary to intervene at that point of time. A university was absolutely shut down for 6 months, and Prime Minister was silent on that. Now that if the Prime Minister is really serious about inclusive development, we have the High Court order, we have the inquiry committee report, and it's agreed between the industry community and the government of India that as soon as the inquiry committee report is received, the government will act within 15 days. Now, if the Prime Minister is serious on his words, well, he should act on that and prove to the people of the region that it's business.
Right. We have to wait for specific examples, specific issues to be addressed. But generally, Patricia Mukim, generally, when we talk, if we look at the Sachar committee report, the BJP, we all know who ruled the country for the most number of years. It is the Congress party. Now, if you look at the Sachar committee report, the condition of the Muslims in this country, it is not the BJP that was responsible for the poor economic status of the Muslims in this country, which has been reflected in the Sachar committee report. That is the only economic indicator which is being cited over and over and over again by everybody. Now the issue is who is it that has kept the Muslims? Who is responsible for the status of the Muslims, the poor literacy rate among the Muslims, the poor economic condition of the community as a whole, the people not in right places largely because of lack of education. So, I mean, how do you counter this argument, Patricia Mukim?
No, somebody in your studio had spoken about this client-patron relationship. In fact, this patronage democracy is what has been ruling the roost in this country. people are kept poor intentionally so that they feel obliged to vote a certain party with the hope that things will change, but things never change. However, coming back to what Mr. Modi had said, the slogan of Vikas and what is that?
Sabka Saath,
Sabka
Vikas and
Sabka
Vishwas.
I would just want to ask Vishwas, I would just want to raise this point. I want to know whether he has the mandate of the RSS to say this, because very often, the BJP on its own is unable to garner the votes that it has garnered. And the RSS is a very, very crucial vote-getting machine. So if the RSS itself is convinced that Vishwas, getting the trust of the people of this country is important,
but that
then
is
I
true.
think it will.
But one
that
more
is
your point. But
we have to also see.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah.
Make your point.
Hello. No, I also want to say that, there have been some very, very ugly slogans coined from time to time in the past 5 years, like anyone who dissents is called anti-national, is told to go back to Pakistan, is to go to Rome.
Now, okay.
This is.
Let me get a counter. Let me get a response to that.
And also, when you talk of Vishwa.
Let me get a response to that, Rajiv Hendik. I mean, is it as simple as saying that 353 members have been elected to Parliament for the BJP and its allies? Obviously, the people must have liked something in their policies and programs and the ideologies and the philosophy. Therefore, they have voted. Now, the issue is that is what is democracy all about. My question is. Can we dismiss the BJP as saying that, you may not have got the votes on your own, as Patricia Mukhim was saying, it must have been aided by the RSS, which is a quote-unquote vote-getting machine. That is what she said. Is it as simple as that? How do you look at it?
No, but RSS is all along with that. This BJP, some people say, is a shadow of.
So what
RSS.
is the problem?
The bigger
what is the problem? When you vote,
there is no problem at all. There is no problem at all. But what she has said is also right. There are already Khan market gangs.
So
that is the new.
That means, are you saying that the Congress also? Are you saying that the Congress lost because it didn't have a similar organization with it?
Not only that, actually.
Would you like to suggest to the Congress that they should also come up with some organizations to back them up? Some organizations outside the party to back them up?
No, if RSS backs them, they will win.
No, I'm not talking. You have missed my point. You have missed my point, Janki.
The point
I'm asking is that if somebody dismisses the BJP as saying that it's only because of the RSS,
it's not that. It's not that.
Here I would like to ask one thing.
Can I make one point,
yes,
please?
Yes.
No, what I was trying to say is, this election, they won because of many issues. One is, there is no credible opposition. There is no credible leader, actually. Those are the issues, actually.
Absolutely.
There is no credible leader whom they will vote. And it is also true that during the last 5 years, there was development. There were certain things were delivered. And people thought that, it's better to give a chance to once more. Because people are also fed up of gradualism.
Professor Dongal, I'm coming to you. Yes, Janki, make the point.
When they're talking about vote-getting machine, I absolutely disagree with this, because Rashtriya Swayam Sangh and BJP share a common ideology. That is a different thing. But had they been a vote-getting machine and just vote capturing system, then we would have been in power all along, because RSS is not a new organization. We all know the roots of RSS. It is a pre-independence era organization. So had it been a vote-getting machine for the BJP, why did we not come to power before?
But you'll also have to understand that this is not only the first time that the RSS has played an active role in terms of mobilizing its cadres. I think if you look at the emergency, the bulk of the cadre for mobilizing the emergency was provided by the RSS. It was not the Socialist Party or the PSP. It was the RSS cadres who mobilized the emergency. I'm not denying or I'm not looking down upon the political role of the RSS. I think the BJP also acknowledges the fact that the BJP itself is the political wing of the RSS.
Here you cannot just say that RSS, it was because of the RSS that we could garner votes. We could garner votes because of many other reasons. RSS has a supporting role because of its ideology.
what I'm trying to say is that politically there is nothing bad because RSS has a cadre and its cadre is trained and it is extremely well based.
Now let us ask. Let me ask Professor Dongal. I'm just coming to you, Kirip Chalia. The organization. Now you see they have won the elections, and now I am more interested in what are the forward-looking speeches which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given in the last 1 week that gives us an indication of the days to come in the next 5 years. Number one, inclusivity. Number two, direct trust, direct outreach to the minorities. And number three is bringing in foreign policy. Bringing in a person like S. Jaishankar, who was a very, very accomplished diplomat, our envoy in China, in Washington, in Singapore, he has also done Moscow. It's very rare to find someone who has done Moscow, Washington, as well as Beijing at the same time. So he has been brought in as the foreign minister, external affairs minister. Now that is not the point. Point is, do you think that, while on trying to have a robust foreign policy by bringing in a man like Jaishankar to deal with the outside front, international front, Narendra Modi wants to set his house in order and forget about this religion and all, not give an opportunity to parties like the Congress and the opposition to constantly harp on this communal and divisive agenda, and therefore he wants to set the house in order. Forget about this communal card, reach out to the Muslims, which are after all 15% of the country's population. And the BJP spokespeople in the studios in the last 1 week have acknowledged that there has been a shift of the Muslim votes to the BJP. Now, with this kind of a calibrated response, do you think this is an attempt by Narendra Modi to set the house in order and then force ahead with development with the ultimate objective of ruling this country for the next 20 to 25 years? How do you look at it? Do you agree with this assessment or not?
I have to give a different interpretation to 3 or 4 things that our previous speakers, including my younger two.
But first answer my question. Don't go back. Answer my question. I'm asking you because I cannot come back to that question again.
I think it will be relevant to your major question.
No, please answer my question.
First of all, when everybody was talking about
yes,
RSS
Amar,
as a voting machine,
again you have got back to RSS.
I said, I'm coming to the fundamental question. There's a chain. It is not only a vote-getting machine, it is the remote controlling machine.
So Kirip Chalia will not answer my question. He
wants
to be in his comfort zone.
What is the specific question? What is the specific question?
I said I cannot repeat the question. I will deflect the question to Amar Yumnam. Amar Yumnam, my question is, do you think by bringing in a person like S. Jaisankar, Prime Minister Modi wants to come up with a robust foreign policy? Number two, he wants to set his house in order, therefore this outreach to the minorities so that people do not all the time complain or accuse the BJP of being anti-minority. Do you think the focus will now be on development and development only?
Yeah, Wasbir, when you mentioned Jaishankar, you stole my words. I was going to tag his name, and that's a wonderful thing. And what Prime Minister has said, since RSS has been brought into discussion, what I feel is that Prime Minister has been trying to take the BJP out of the shadow of RSS. I think he is trying, that is where I like his statement. He is trying to take BJP out of the shadow of RSS, and I think he is trying to convert BJP now into a full-fledged political party rather than a party dependent on RSS. If the Prime Minister can live up to his words and make BJP a pure political party, that will be a very successful strategy for taking the country forward.
Let me go to Patricia Mukim. Patricia Mukim, nobody has answered my questions deliberately or otherwise. My question is very simple. On one side, you bring in a career diplomat as your foreign minister who has done Washington, Beijing, Moscow, who is very, very well versed in the entire international relations. On one side, you take care of that. Now, Modi wants to take care of the domestic issues, these ticklish issues of the opposition parties, all the time complaining, all the time accusing the BJP of being divisive. Now, once you can tackle these two fronts, then you can focus wholeheartedly on development and take this country to greater heights. Do you think this could be one of the reasons why Modi has actually reached out to the minorities so that this front is taken care of and taken care of seriously?
Hello.
I think the bright spot in this government today is the induction of Mr. Jaishankar. It sent a very, very good signal within the country and to the world. I think we should appreciate that. It takes a lot of strength of character, to do this parallel entry induction.
Right.
But Wasbir, I'm a little disappointed with this discussion because when you spoke of minorities, you didn't bring in the Dalit factor at all. The Dalits are also living in great fear.
That is why people like you, that is why Patricia Mukim, that is why people like you are on this panel. You are supposed to bring up all these issues.
Yes, because we have to take there are a lot of Dalits who are suffering or who have been suffering under this government, not directly because of government interventions, but because of a machinery that is let loose to do the lynching and to do all this dirty work. So we hope and pray that all this will come to an end with the statement of the Prime Minister. And of course, we have to live with hope.
Absolutely, you have to live with. I'll come to you, Abhinav. Professor Dongal, we have been discussing the entry, the rather surprise entry of S. Jaishankar, a career diplomat as India's foreign minister. On one side, you are taking care of the foreign ministry with a career diplomat. On one side, you are reaching out to the minorities. Do you think from now on, development should be the focus and nothing else?
Where it is a good gesture on the part of Modi ji to include experienced diplomat as minister, but as I have said, let the policy and program translated into action. Only then we can say that it will be a good beginning. That's why now it has been just mentioned, it has been just propagated, and without seeing any action and translation into policy.
I'm coming to you, Abhinav, Kripchalia.
Action, how we can say that it will be a good beginning.
Yes.
And at the top of that, what I would like to point out is that the new government is talking about inclusivity. Then if it is inclusive, I think it should be inclusive enough not to control the diet, not to control the eating habit of the fellow citizens of the country. This is a serious issue.
All right. Yes, Kripchalia, I wanted to make a point.
I had been in charge of the Congress Party's Foreign Affairs Department for 4 years under Narasimha Rao, who was supposed to be one of the best person dealing with foreign affairs of the country. When I asked him, when I became in charge of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Foreign Affairs Department of the party, I asked him whom I should consult for guidance. And I named a few diplomats, few authorities.
Yeah.
The word that came out of Narasimha Rao's mouth stunned me. He said, Krip, forget everybody else, first talk to Mr. Wasbir. Nobody knows about foreign affairs more than Wasbir. Let me, on this cue, let me assure you, that my perception is that Indian foreign policy will not be dictated by any IFS officer. We had IFS officers earlier. Natwar Singh was one such IFS officer, retired. Manishankar Iyer was one such great man who, I would not like to say, you know better. But what I'm saying is, Jaishankar is a perfectly good man. But my feeling, and I can say it, I want to put it on record, that Modi's foreign policy is totally Modi. It will be guided by Modi. And Modi's first and last.
Absolutely.
First and last.
No, there is
first and last attempt will be.
Let me
assure you. Let me assure you. Let me tell you. He has already reduced the importance of Pakistan. And Pakistan's dominance.
Let me tell you, Kripchalia, is that bringing in Jaishankar does not mean that Jaishankar will do everything, but Narendra Modi will be the brain behind India's foreign policy right now. There is no denying that. But you need a full-time experienced minister to deal with the issue, while you as the Prime Minister do a lot of other things, from economics to politics to a lot of things. Now, Abhinav, we are not discussing Jaishankar here. We are just basically discussing.
That as a cue.
Basically asking the question whether Modi has a bigger agenda, whether the BJP wants to be a long haul player, perhaps be a one party to take only one party to be taken seriously in this country, with only the fringe players. So it's important for them to have the minorities in their fold. That is the bigger agenda. It's just, you see the elections, in the last elections, a lot of people are saying that it is a combination of the American and the Chinese model, one party, one nation, one leader. Now it has been almost modeled on the American system, staggered, long elections, focused on the Prime Minister. You get a lot of time to do course correction even in between the elections, and you have seen the massive verdict in favor of one person, that is the Prime Minister Modi. Now the issue is, if you want to become a long haul player, if you want to have a long haul player, you need to, if you want to become a single party to be reckoned with other small players here and there, then you cannot ignore a large chunk of the population in this country. Do you think that is one of the objectives? Do you think that is one of the objectives that Modi is going to try in this coming 5 years?
Wasbir, I think that you have captured the political strategy very well, because if you look at the outreach to Muslims, Dalits and Christians, it is nothing but an example of a classic politics of co-option. Because if you look at the political reality, India is a heterogeneous society, and if you need to stabilize in power over the long term in a heterogeneous society, your politics has to be cross-sectional. And for this reason, the BJP understands that a politics of polarization is a limited logic, because politics of polarization requires a supra-consolidation every time. But a cross-sectional politics requires a basic threshold of support from a diverse range of social actors, and out of it you get a cumulative political gain. So this is much more in tune with the heterogeneous Indian social realities. And I think by this move, the BJP is just doing a replica of classic Congress politics of the 50s. If you read Rajni Kothari,
absolutely,
it is
absolutely. Rajiv Hendy, I'm running short of time. Rajiv Hendy, same question to you. How do you look at it? You have seen my understanding of it, or what I think of it. I need your comments on that.
No,
do you think this is one of the reasons why Prime Minister Modi is doing this?
They are actually overwhelmed by the support that they got. I think they also never imagined that it would be such a big mandate for them. And I think that is why the responsibility have increased, and that's why the question of trust that they have, the people have
absolutely, you have hit the bullseye, because this is what Rajiv Hendik has said. Let me say what Rajiv Hendik has said. The Prime Minister has himself said this. With this massive mandate comes a huge responsibility. The Prime Minister has himself said that his responsibility is increased. I'm coming to you, Krip Chalia. Yes, I'm coming to you. Yes, Krip Chalia, very quickly. Running short of time.
The crux of all that you have been saying is Modi in his second avatar or innings trying to be Bajpayee? Let's see. I think it'll need a tougher job than this.
Okay, very interesting there. I will come to you. Patricia Mukim, Kirip Chalia is asking a question. Do you have an answer? Is Modi in his second innings trying to be a Vajpayee?
That would be a great thing to happen, because all of us remember Vajpayee ji with admiration, because he was a statesman par excellence. And if Modi can transcend all his little peccadillos and become a Vajpayee, that would be really great for India.
But let me also tell you, every individual is different. Every individual has his or her own vision. Yes, you pick up points here and there, but you cannot be a replica of another person. Amar Yumnam, your concluding remarks. I'm running short of time. Amar Yumnam.
Hello, Wasbir.
Well, in picking up Jaishankar,
carry on, Patricia.
I'm asking Mr. Modi to be a statesman.
Okay, asking Mr. Modi to be a statesman.
I'm
fair
just
enough.
Asking
fair
that
enough.
Mr. Modi can be a statesman.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes, Amar, your last words. Amar Imam, concluding remarks.
Yeah. Well, in picking up Jaishankar, Modi is definitely trying to become a statesman, because the biggest failure in foreign policy of India has been that, well, number one, we have not been able to give a proper response to the trade war evolving between US and China. And number two, with the increasing popularity of BRI, India so far has not been able to evolve a kind of policy to respond to the BRI initiative of China. So in these two failures, Modi has been trying to address these failures by picking up Jaishankar.
Okay,
That
we'll
is
have to
one
wait and
muscle
watch on
stroke
that front as
in
well,
his,
whether
recent
Jaishankar will be
step.
able to deliver or not. Let's hope so. Professor Dongal, your parting comments. Professor Dongal.
Where it is the expectation of citizens of India that Modi ji should follow the footsteps of Wasbir.
Okay, Modi ji
The
should follow the
tolerance
footsteps of Vajpayee. Kirp Chalia,
The
very quickly.
matureness.
Well, the whole
should not
country looks forward to a new PM with new policies, in spite of the pressures that he'll be facing internally from his own party.
Right.
And if he comes above that and really be, at least if not Vajpayee, somebody like Vajpayee, it will be a welcoming thing.
Absolutely. Rajiv Andik?
I think from the Hindu rate of growth, from 1991 afterwards, India has come to a position where I think all the people together today wants to shake off gradualism and take the path of accelerated development. And towards that end, I think inclusive growth is a must, because you cannot leave anyone behind if you want to
Absolutely. You cannot leave anyone behind. Inclusive growth is more Janki.
See, amidst this discussion, you just have to give me 1 minute to tell you my viewpoint.
Very quickly.
What I feel is that amidst this discussion of RSS, RSS asking votes for the BJP, we have forgotten one basic thing, that is that NDA too has been voted back to power with a thumping majority. And why has that happened? This is because the people of India see in Narendra Modi their future.
That is the reason why we are having this
Modi has
discussion.
been concentrating on empowering the nation and enriching the nation, and we have to agree that there is a shift in Indian politics, and this is going to have a long haul.
Absolutely. Last words, Abhinav.
BJP should evolve a brand of politics and a set of policies which find greater relevance amongst the heterogeneous social realities of India, that includes minorities, that includes dispossessed, that includes the youth belonging to different class realities and different religious and social realities.
Absolutely, viewers. These are early days for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's second innings at the head of the NDA government. We'll have to wait and watch. A lot of things are at this point in time are nebulous, but we'll have to wait and watch as to how things unfold in the coming days and weeks. But we have to be optimistic and move ahead. On this note, I end this edition of Northeast Tonight. I'd like to thank all my panelists for participating in this very, very engaging discussion. Good night and goodbye.